Well, welcome back, my friends. I'm so excited. Today we are going to be making a shepherd's pie and then freeze drying it. And this is actually part of a collaboration that the Inquisitive Housewife started. There are lots of great videos that have already come out for the month of February and for the rest of February. And there are also some awesome prizes that you can enter to win using this link here. And one of them is a medium harvest rate freeze dryer. Is that not the most exciting thing you've ever heard? And I love my freeze dryer. I invested in it myself and it is a game changer. In fact, some of the ingredients that I'm going to use for this are freeze dried. But anyway, let's get started. First, we are going to prepare our potatoes and get started with those. And I'm going to steam them in my Instant Pot. I had some Instant Pot drama that happened, oh gosh, over the last few months. I was making some yogurt, and normally I cook my yogurt in a pot on, like first I bring it up to heat on a pot on the stove, but we had, the pot was in use and it was in my outside fridge, and it's a story. So anyway, I was using my Instant Pot to preheat the milk, and it never preheats it hot enough, which really annoys me. I'm gonna put some water in here. So I did what a lot of people do when cooking with milk, and it boiled over and it boiled down into the Instant Pot. And this was like an Instant Pot Ultra, which was great because it had like the screen on the front that would like show you when it comes up to pressure. Anyway, I managed to sort of like clean out the milk. I actually like rinsed the Instant Pot, but it just was slowly dying over time. So I got this new one. And a lot of people, when they're making potatoes, apparently in the Instant Pot, they aren't, like they're boiling them in it. My friend, steam them. It is so much faster. It is so convenient. Okay, so I have these delicious orbs of sunshine joy. I love potatoes so much, and I like the yellow ones for most cooking. I like put them way over here. I am not tall either, so I'm like stretching. And I have a recipe here that I'm going to be quadrupling. Is it pull? Anyway. So, and these are kind of old potatoes, which is gross. I just can't stand dealing with rotten food, but that's the state we're in. So we are going to peel these potatoes. And while I do that, I'm going to tell you a little story. The reason why I love having these freeze-dried meals is that they are just so convenient for when you just do not feel like cooking or life is crazy or whatever. Now, I did just recently go on a trip, and I expected, now here, I'm on Vancouver Island in Canada, and we're the warmest spot in Canada. We don't get a lot of snow. A lot of, like the rest of Canada, as you may know, gets usually generally quite a lot of snow. And so when it snows here, it really takes a toll on the city and the people. I mean, because we only get snow generally a few times a year, it's not really worth it for the city and whatever governments to invest that much in equipment. I mean, there are snow plows and things, but there are a lot of streets that just never end up getting plowed because there's just no, like it will melt. Like generally we're kind of like Seattle, right? We're not that far from there, and it's like a lot of rain. So anyway, I was visiting my brother in Alberta, which is very cold, or they can be very cold. And in fact, it was minus 26 Celsius, very close to Fahrenheit at that point. And I went for a walk, and with the wind chill, it was minus 36. And there's snow, but it's a dry cold. Here it is a damp cold, and the cold goes to your soul. So anyway, I was flying back. We were getting snow on Vancouver Island where I live. So I was flying back, and I was like, gosh, like I hope we're gonna make it. And like, you know what? Like I'm sitting in the plane, checking out the forecast, checking out the conditions at my own home airport, and it's looking fine. So I'm like, great. Well, we get to my city, and we're flying above it, and we're above the clouds at this point, which was interesting. And I guess the captain was communicating, and they said, anyway, so we're circling for like 10 minutes, even though he had said like prepare for landing. I mean, come on. But anyway, I don't know what it's like to be a captain or a pilot. I don't know anything. So we're circling, and then he comes on and he goes, I have some unfortunate news, which when you're in a plane is not fun to hear. However, he didn't sound panicked, but he was like, here's the thing. They can't clear the runway fast enough with the snow. And because the runway is not long enough, we can't land with the snow on it, the amount of snow that was on it. Well, any snow probably. So anyway, we have to go back to Calgary. So we'd already flown almost 2 hours, certainly been in the plane longer than that. And they were like, well, we have to stop in Abbotsford, which is 1 hour from Vancouver. Now I'm on Vancouver Island, which is here. Abbotsford is right here. We ended up landing, and I said, can we just get out here and like, I'll rent a car or something to get to the ferry? And they were like, no. And then eventually the captain came on and was like, actually, we can't legally keep you here, which was great. So me and 3 other people, there were like probably like 15 or more of us that got off, but 3 other people, we shared an Uber with my strangers, my new friends, and we went all the way to the ferry, got the ferry, came home, and I'm so glad we did, because anybody who got rerouted back to Calgary was, they ended up stuck there for 2 whole days. Isn't that awful? So the point of this long story is when I got home, I did not feel like cooking after that. I mean, it wasn't awful. It was actually kind of like a fun adventure, I'll be honest with you. That's how I look at life. I was like, this is a good story. And a lot of people didn't share my attitude. But when we got home, I was like, what are we having for dinner? So we were whipping out the food I had prepped in advance. So freeze-dried meals are very handy for that. And that is one of the great things that I can do when I am making a freeze-dried meal. Okay, so now that is cooking, I am going to prep the filling. Now, I am just using a random shepherd's pie recipe. And of course, it's actually cottage pie. I know that shepherd's pie has lamb, right? But I use beef. I don't like the taste of lamb. So, but I call it shepherd's pie. I grew up calling it shepherd's pie. I bet a lot of you call it shepherd's pie. So what I'm going to do now is prep the veggies that I'm going to put in the filling. So we're going to peel some carrots. Now, I have been pulling carrots out of my garden all winter, but unfortunately they are now frozen in the ground. I was saying to my family, we need to do a day where we like dig them all up and clean them, and it just never came before it got frozen. I mean, that's my fault. So we're gonna peel these carrots and get them prepped. They are cold. Now, carrots are something that I have freeze-dried in the past. I did not seal them properly. The other thing is, if you do freeze-dried carrots, they freeze-dry really well, but they turn a very light orange, like lighter than that. It's disconcerting. Yeah, but they do freeze-dry really well. And that was one of the ways I was going to preserve them when I was going to harvest them. But now the ones that are in there, like once it warms up a tiny bit, we can still use them, but they aren't great. But I will definitely use them as long as, you know, they're in decent enough condition. But it is like they've been frozen now, and now they're defrosted, so it's not ideal. So I made the mistake of eating one of the carrots because I realized I peeled too many. Carrots always give me the hiccups. Do they do that to you? All right, so prepping the rest of the ingredients here. I had some corn that I made this summer, and we grilled it and then froze it. It got a little starchy. I left it a little long before harvesting it. Well, actually, like, it's not my fault because we were away, but it's so hard to time things, and it's like you want to go away in the summer, but you're like obsessed with your garden, so it's a whole thing. And I've got some peas that I will never. I mean, I grow sugar snap peas to eat, but I'm never growing shelling peas. So, you may have figured out the reason why we started the glorious orbs of sunshine, the potatoes before, was so that it could cook while we're prepping the rest of our ingredients, because I am making this shepherd's pie for you to taste. So you have to tell me how good it is. I'm gonna prep your bowl as we go here. And I am also going to have this for dinner. So 2 birds, 1 stone, if you know what I'm saying. Now, unfortunately, I've got some really bad news. So our favorite Lily, the onion, they're not in the best of shape. And if there's one thing I hate, it's rotten onions. However, we gotta do it. We're gonna rip off the Band-Aid, and this is the problem with purple onions. My husband really likes them. I mean, I don't hate them, but they go bad so quickly. They're definitely not something I'm going to be growing. And speaking of growing, I am going to be starting my onions very soon. In fact, probably today, in my my basement. I'm trying so hard not to get this like disgustingness. Oh no, that's not good. Okay, I'm gonna show you, but look away if you're squeamish. Yuck. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Ugh, I hate this. It's just the worst. It's terrible. I hate this. We're gonna have a little less onion than I wanted, but not that much less. The other one's not as bad as this one. This one's in much better shape. Hopefully I don't look like I've been sobbing my eyes out. I have not. So what we're going to do, now that I've dealt with this awful onion fiasco, is I have this garlic that I freeze dried. Now, I did not feel like crushing it all at the end of the year. Now, we love garlic. Garlic is just the minister of flavor in my house. And look at this, like it is just perfect. What I did was threw it in the food processor to chop it up because we were getting tired of processing it. So what I found is that it's best to rehydrate it a little before you actually put it in the pan. So I am going to just let it soak briefly while I start cooking off my beef and my onions. There we go. So I have a tube of ground beef, which is kind of horrifying, but anyway, I'm going to save you from having to watch this part. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to cook them in batches. So I will cook off the first, and then with the second, that's where I'm going to do all of the vegetables. And that allows the garlic to rehydrate a little bit more, and just to like get the show on the road. Let's get started. So we're going to add a little bit of Butter's pretty and much healthier sister. I don't know why when I have the burner on, I'm like, it's an open flame. Probably because it's an open flame, but I'm putting this right back on it. But look, that's some deliciously browned meat. Woo, look at that. There was like double that on the other one, and I literally did half, so I don't know. Maybe more steam, more water evaporated. So children, my children, this is for you. This is how you take the fat out. If anybody has a better method, let me know. I started with this one, and I'm trying to get as much out because of the freeze dryer. It doesn't like a lot of fat. All right, let's add our favorite lily, the flavorful onion. Try not to spill it, but I guess I'm getting tired because I'm spilling it. And I need to finish chopping up my carrot. The minister of flavor, garlic. I know, I don't have my hands the right way. Okay, so I just finished chopping those up. You've probably seen me chop enough stuff in this video, and just popped it in onto the stove, and then just give it a good stir and cook it down. And then I took forever to decide that I would speed things up when it comes to pepper, especially when doing such a huge batch. Like I've quadrupled this. I think I said it right that time. Anyway, so I use this coffee grinder for my pepper. This is so old. Like look, we've duct taped it. And it is very fine because it's not a good coffee grinder. So I had to just let it go and go and go. But I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of pepper. We love pepper in our house. And I don't go crazy. Like I've done about that much and I will put it in a jar. And then it is so convenient when I'm cooking. Try not to breathe it in. And yeah, like I love to have like ingredients ready to go. Like this garlic is such a game changer. Having the pepper all ready to go, it's all really good. So let's get back to this. We're just adding things as those veggies cook. Okay, so it is herb time. It is time to get down to Flavor Boulevard, and we are going to throw in, instead of like the recipe says, just do all these separate things, I'm just gonna do Italian seasoning, which I do so often, and I realize this is not an Italian recipe, but it's like thyme and rosemary and parsley, so we're gonna do this. So there we go, Flavor Boulevard, complete. And then I'm going to add my Worcester sauce once it's browned, because if I do this too soon, it will steam a little bit or deglaze the bottom of the pan, that's what I mean. So I'm not even going to turn it just yet, because now I'm browning the bottom of the meat like we did over here. Like, again, look how good that looks. That's nice and brown. So while that is going, let's just go ahead and mash. I was gonna wait, but let's mash, Here we go, mashing time. Okay, so this, you can release it like the fast way, but I was busy doing the rest of what we're doing, so I did not. Now, you could just mash it in the actual thing, but I am so short that that would just not work. So I'm gonna move this out of the way. Stir my meat. It's starting to get really good and brown. I can't wait to show you. Well, I got some on the side. It's fine. Okay, so we're gonna mash, and I don't know about you. How do you like your potatoes mashed? Do you like them just like super duper smooth, or do you like them a little chunky? I like them a little chunky. And my husband, I think he likes it smooth. Like every time like I give him anything, tuna, okay? He makes hers into like a paste. I don't like mine a paste. You tell me, how do you like yours? Now, here's the thing. You're not supposed to have like excess fat in the freeze dryer. But I really want to add my best friend butter. We love our best friend, beautiful butter. And what do you think? If you freeze dried before, I mean, technically, according to the recipe, I should be adding like, well, I don't know if I did the right amount of potatoes, but I should be adding like a cup, no, 2 cups of butter. But if I add this, which is like about half a cup, I'm doing it. Oh, I mean, this pains me. I love butter. I just love it. And it's not terrible for you, it's just not great. I've been looking at the evidence, believe me. I'm trying to justify it. I'm adding a bit of milk. We already added salt. We already added pepper. Oh, gosh, I love mashed potatoes so much. I think we did the right thing. We added enough. And I mean, it's not even for health reasons so much that I'm not doing the butter. It's more so the freeze drying. I don't want it to be like rancid, because I'm already like taking steps that my beef isn't. Okay, so these are good as far as I'm concerned. Don't you just love mashed potatoes? Okay, let's go back over here. Let's finish up. We're gonna put in our Worcester sauce, and it is so yummy and browned now. I actually turned the heat off while I was doing the potatoes. So actually first, I'm going to put in my flour. If you did not want to use wheat flour, you could use some other starch, like even like oat flour or whatever to thicken. It wouldn't be a big deal. You know what? I forgot these veggies. That complicates things. It makes this so much more full. I think I said that I made the corn in the summer. I grew it. Anyway, and I let it get a little starchy. We were away and then we came back. So what we did was we just grilled it and chopped it up and froze it. And it is really good in something like this. That starch, you don't really notice it. I also put in the flour and just cooked it. It's good to cook flour a bit. It really helps. It adds a bit of flavor, but it also takes away any kind of like gumminess. And then I added in a bit of a broth paste and some water, and then the rest of that ground beef. So it's a very full pan, but it is just perfect and ready to go. Time to put it in the pans. A little bit not looking forward to this part, but I got two. This is great. Dinner's made, and future dinners are made too. So we're gonna put this in. I'm gonna do it slowly. I'm trying to be more patient. You know, like what's with the rush all the time? But it looks really good and it tastes really good. We're gonna just be slow and patient. I'm going against my normal way. That's okay. Wait, I should make sure I didn't forget anything. We're good. I forget stuff all the time. All the time. All the time. I'll say to my husband, oh, I forgot something. He'll be like, oh yeah. He's not judging me. He knows me. Are you like that? Do you forget things? I mean, like, oh my gosh, if you're doing it by mind, like, or you just like, do you do it by recipe? I still will forget something and be like, how am I forgetting it? I do. Okay, I know I said I was gonna be really patient, but I'm at the point where I could pour it in this other one. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. Now, a chunk there. Now we'll put on the potatoes. Now I could have done more potatoes. I'm not going to deny that. But what I will tell you is I don't want a ton of potatoes because as much as they are gorgeous orbs of sunshine, even though they never see the sunshine, they are very, very carb rich. So I think we got a good ratio. Okay, I did not realize that I had this on convection, but that's okay. And yes, I put on my pajamas. My jeans are just not as comfortable. All right, so this is looking really good. Yummy brown. I'm gonna let it cool. And same, this one looks even better. Look at that. So we're gonna let them cool. I'm going to try it. Then I'm going to actually, I was gonna say refrigerate it, but I think I'm gonna put them outside because it's only 1 degree Celsius. And then I will start the freeze drying process. I don't want any wildlife getting my shepherd's pie. Let's try the other one before I put it up. So it's not dinner time yet, so I don't want to eat a lot. I actually just ate my lunch, so, but I'm gonna take a little bit because I do love me some shepherd's pie. So that is what it looks like. I'm gonna let it cool for a sec, put this one outside. It's such a good comfort food. There's a lot of flavor in that meat. Ooh. Right, so I have just brought this in. This one definitely retained the heat well because it's like this like cast iron heavy like enamel thing. But I've turned on the freeze dryer. You gotta love when the dishwasher makes gross sounds while you're talking. Anyway, so I use these mats, the Harvest Right mats, and the freeze dryer I turned on is the one you could win. So my goodness, make sure you follow all of the instructions to enter. So I initially tried using my bench scraper to cut this. It didn't work very well. So then I got out my trusty knife. I really love these made-in knives. This is not sponsored by them, but they are wonderful. And I cannot say enough how much I think it's hilarious that they send a Band-Aid with them because you
probably will cut yourself with knives, and these ones are beautiful. And as an emergency nurse, I will tell you that a sharp knife cut is the best kind of cut to get. Okay, is that too much information? Anyway, I'm just chopping these up, and then I can get them out on the pan.
Just gonna pop out our dinner, which is great because it's like the weird kind of bendy round part. Bendy round part. You do this, and then we're gonna put these on the pan.
So something funny happens when you freeze dry things. They do seem a little sturdier. So when I'm finished, you'll see that they actually held together pretty well, and it's not really a big deal if it does come apart. But I just put it out on its side, not too thick. With freeze-dried things, you don't want it too thick. It can really, really take a long time to freeze dry. It can also be harder to reconstitute. So this amount worked really well for me.
Okie doke. So these are all ready. And yes, I know that they will crumble. I kind of pushed some of them together and then I'm like, doesn't matter. We just divided up into bowls and whatever. And then we've got our dinner's ready. There's another one over there. So I'm going to get my son to help me take these downstairs and we're going to pop them in.
All right. So the next, actually 2 days later, I literally just let it sit in the freeze dryer for 2 days because I'm sick. And look at my hair. I don't know why, but this ponytail, it just, like, it goes to the side. It's so strange. But anyway, it's time to package it up. And I use the Mylar bags. I still have some left from when I got my freeze dryer. I haven't invested in other ones. I'm going to need to stock up soon. And I'm just filling them up. And I should mention, they really held their shape quite well. There were times when I was sort of trying to fit things in bags that the potatoes would come off the meat. But other than that, it fit really, really well.
I just love that I'm filming with this garbage in the background here. Okay, so I have filled up like 6 bags and I did not want to look at this hair. It's so funny. Fill up 6 bags, but it's like, I don't want to like cram it in there. I do want them still, like some of them did break apart. Like you can see, I also put some in this jar. These will be ones we eat more sooner. But yeah, so I'm going to put, I basically, I don't open this up until the very last minute. And then I immediately seal it in there. Like I put it in a vacuum, like a vacuum seal bag. I can't even think. So I'm going to vacuum seal this.
So when I am storing stuff short term, I love using these glass jars, and I have muted myself because I did not sound great there. And I also keep those little oxygen absorbers in a vacuum sealed plastic bag, but I did manage to use up all of them, all of the remaining ones in these bags. I had 6 bags total of this delicious shepherd's pie. And what you see me doing there is I use an impulse sealer. So I put an oxygen absorber in and then I seal it shut with that. The oxygen absorber sucks out all of the oxygen. And then it is good for very long-term storage, like 25 years. So I preheat my bowl because I like my food hot. And this actually works. And then I put, this is just an on-demand kettle. I'll link it below. But I just drizzle a little bit more hot water. I already had put some on. I put a little bit more on top. And if you have too much, you can actually pour it off. But this was absolutely perfect. I let it sit for 5 minutes.
Okay, I have rehydrated it, and you can see it's still like somewhat in its layers. I put it on some on the side, so there's like a line. But that was a perfect way to do it. A lot of people, they'll measure the weight of the water that was removed. I don't worry about that. This is delicious! Yay! I highly recommend freeze-drying shepherd's pie. Before we go on, I want to thank the Inquisitive Farmwife for setting up this collaboration. Make sure you check out the playlist down below. It is so good. And join to win that freeze dryer If you want more awesome freeze-dry recipes, check out this video here. Stay cozy. I hope something great happens for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.